I guess my coach philosophy is really that the game is a response to, I guess, the tactics and the psychology. That every time you do something, you're always going to see, think, do, evaluate. So if you have those four things in place all the time, then you're always going to be able to teach and move forward. So I don't teach a stroke for the sake of teaching a stroke. I try and always have that involved with an outcome that stroke's going to try and achieve.
You notice that Kobe and Manny are really moving each other around, up and down the court, so they've got to adjust. They've also got to read the flight of the ball. They've got to play a confident half volley that controls the ball to where they want it to go. And if it's in a difficult position, they've got to change their grip and improvise with the stroke to be able to do it. This is a drill done by Pat Rafter, and he did it regularly to help him when he got caught on his way to the net with the ball at his feet.
I'm Gary Stickler, an Australian tennis coach. Been involved with a number of players, including John Millman, Pat Rafter and Jason Kubler.
Now, this is something Pat Rafter did extremely well. He's known as a great volleyer. It's because he gets so close to the net to play his volley. See how Kobe's very close? He's moving forward as they go to hit.
The game itself is about the psychology and tactics of the sport, and then what are the processes I have to put in place, what are the strokes I need to develop, and how am I going to use those to get these outcomes.
So shoulders and legs give you the power. Let's have a look at his legs. That's right. Let's have a look at the shoulders again. You see how he's drawing his shoulder back, his front shoulder's higher, and let's look at that back leg, how it drives up.
Obviously you've got technical fundamentals which have got to be adhered to as much as possible, but then you've got the person's own individual style, and they're two different things.
So we're imagining that Manny is just starting tennis. He's been playing a little while, and you'll notice we're just throwing the ball straight to him, but he has to be side on, racket back, ready like that before the ball bounces at his end. Now this is really important for later on, because you can't move up and take the ball early if you don't get the racket back in time.
As a coach, you've got to be able to create that cooperative training environment, because you can't get better unless you hit the balls more often. And if someone just wants to hit a winner against the other person every single time, then no one gets any practice. So it's getting the kids to understand that, well, hey, you just missed out on hitting 2 or 3 other shots that you wanted to get better at. So I think you're born with a degree of competitiveness, but it's nurtured by the family environment. They have to believe they're in charge. So, you always create an environment of ownership and responsibility, and they're in charge. Players learning to lob should be part of all of the strokes you're going to learn when you start. You won't start a lob as an entry-level player, but you'll start learning lobs when you're learning volleys and smashes. You'll learn lobs then. Because it's important when players are playing that they're practicing with each other. And for someone to practice a smash, someone has to hit up a lob. A lot of the players in lower programs will ask you what they do next, and you say to them, well, why don't you tell me what you're going to do next? Let them create a drill on court, and when it doesn't succeed, talk about how you're going to modify it. Have the courage to do the things you don't like doing. All of those things are what makes people become good at what they do. See how the shoulder goes from back on to side on? Doesn't go from side on to front on. If it was a two-handed backhand, let's have a look at the two-hander again. He would go from there and he'd turn front on, then he'd let it go. Because this is the shoulder he's hitting with, this one here. So that's the big difference. And I think having mentors before you, just around you that are succeeding, you're better off having 3 or 4 very good players all come through at the same time than one comes through every 3 or 4 years for a number of years. You just have that group around each other that creates a better belief in that, look, if they can do it, I can do it too. Toss is going to be the same. All that happens with the modern serve now is that the players vary their movement of their body onto the ball. Because if they have a different toss for different serves, they give it away to the person who's down the other end returning. Djokovic does this very well as a modern server. He has the same toss for every serve. I think it's possible to create champions out of the country. But I think you've got to believe you can do it. And most coaches in country areas are just doing social and recreational coaching.
Come on, can you come? Play the volley where you're moving to. Split, now go back. Don't turn your back on the court. You can't turn your back on that. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And over and back, lovely.
I think you create the environment, the belief that the person has in themselves. They have to believe in themselves, and you've got to manage that and grow that. I think you've got to be flexible enough to make adjustments on a daily basis for things that either have to move forward a bit quicker than you're allowed for, or move back because they're not quite getting in. Some of the basics beforehand need to be revisited.
One of Pat Rafter's favourite serves, that one, the slice, he used both slice and kick. So let's have a look again. All the same power components, all the same rhythm as the flat serve, but all we're doing is coming around the outside of the ball to get some side spin on it or slice.
But I think you need to have a plan, and the old saying of if you fail to plan, you probably plan to fail. So you need to have a direction the players are going in that they're invested in, and they need to have some sort of, I guess, accountability over that.
This is the shoulder for the two-hander, this is the shoulder for the one-hander. And if you turn it round too early, it's going that direction when you're trying to hit the ball in that direction.
Some coaches feel that everything they do is what makes the difference. The players need to believe it's what they do that makes the difference. And you have a direction, like you have a plan. Like for us with our coaching, we talk about players as being entry level, then development, emerging and performance. And you've got different stages in there of the different things they're learning. If I want to have a forehand that's going to hit the ball hard when they get to a certain age, what am I doing from day one?
So this is perception, figuring out what's happening down the opposite end and making a decision on what you're going to do down your end before it's hit.
When do you know they're going to be a high performance player? And my answer is the very first day they walked into my centre. The very first day they walked into my centre, I treat them like they're going to be a Wimbledon winner. I do the things they have to do. Fun and learning things, not mutually exclusive. You've got to have lots of fun when you're younger, but that doesn't mean you don't learn the things you need to learn to take you to the next level, to the next level, to the next level.
That's the two keys. The change of the grip with the hand, with the opposite hand, just changing the grip. No, you don't do that. Changing the grip right back and getting the back of the shoulder around. And when you step with the footwork, stepping over with the left foot and down the court with the right. That's it.
So you need to have a process in place, similar to what school does. You know, you're going to go to kindergarten, you're going to go to primary school, you're going to go to secondary education, tertiary education. There's a structure in place.
We're going to have a look at how Pat Rafter got to the net, his approach shot, and why he hit it that way. He played his approach shot with a slice backhand, but the slice backhand allowed him a little more time to get his net position, and it also bounced a lot lower. So if you have a very good slice, it bounces very low. It's hard for the player to get the pass up and down quickly and beat you.
The thing that stops players from becoming the best they can be is they're extremely talented in certain areas, but they have some holes in other areas. They're not as good in other areas. And they're not prepared to face that sometimes. You know, they're not prepared to say, look, I want to be better. You know, so if you want something bad enough, you're going to be restrained because you mightn't have the talent. Like some players just don't have enough talent in the area of competitiveness, court speed, power, and other skills.
A good way is to stand against the fence, put the racket between the ball between the racket and the fence, and come up the back of the ball to get the feeling of providing that kick. Legs are down, up. There.
If you don't believe, you've got no chance. So you can't talk people out of believing some of the things they do. Believe in yourself and you believe in your dream. Just never give up.